We're Charlie and Leanne, a couple from California who left our cushy suburban life to spend the next several years cruising around the Pacific Ocean on our boat, Juliet. And our little dog, too. In our last episode, we left Los Gatos at sunrise and headed to Agua Verde, where we discovered another charming beach palapa and hung out some more with our new cruising friends. We experienced some unpredicted bad weather and then visited a goat dairy, where we learned how the farmer makes his goat cheese. In this episode, we sailed to Puerto Escondido and see even more dramatic scenery. We enjoy the modern conveniences and restaurants at the marina, and then we take a road trip. Off we go to see the remote mountain village of San Javier and the beautiful seaside city of Loreto. And then we do yoga.
This leg from Agua Verde to Puerto Escondido has a lot of obstacles. It's like running an obstacle course. We have the Baja Peninsula that juts in and out, and then we have a lot of islands and then rocks. If you look forward of us right now, there's Roca Blanca, and there's a whole other series of rocks. And then we have to go through a peninsula and an island through a very narrow passage in order to get into Puerto Escondido. So it's a bit more of a challenge than the other legs that were pretty much wide open. This one we have to really pay attention to the charts and keep an eye out for things in the water.
Throughout our month in the Sea of Cortez, we have continued to be gobsmacked by the magnificent scenery along the coastline, and this leg was no different.
So we've been threading through some of these little islands. About 150 feet deep here, but where these rocks are that we're going through, it's very shallow and rocky. So as long as we stay in the gap between them, we should be okay. This is definitely the most challenging navigation we've had to do so far because there's a lot of turns, left and right turns, in order to get through these gaps between the rocks.
Through that tiny little gap up there. That is very narrow and shallow. Puerto Escondido is one of Baja's most protected harbors, as it's almost completely landlocked and protected by mountains and land all the way around. You have to carefully navigate through this shallow 200-foot wide channel, which then opens up to an enormous inner harbor that can easily hold over 150 boats. Once we got through the channel, we picked up a mooring ball and then sat back to enjoy the view. After a couple weeks of being off the grid and in remote coves, it felt a bit jarring to be back in civilization. And of course, our first order of business, pizza.
Look at those pizzas.
That is? No, that's salt. I want to take some of this pepper. Don't you have salsa glaze that they do? No? So last good. Just
The next morning, we woke up to partly cloudy skies and nothing important to do, which gave us an opportunity to just sit on the deck and absorb the peace, calm, and overwhelming natural beauty of this enchanting harbor. Because this place is so popular, the only open mooring balls were at the far end of the harbor, which left us with a pretty long dinghy ride to get off the boat. Bubba loved it, but I was curious just how long it actually took, so I recorded it. The six of us buddy boaters, Barbara and Brian from Red Shoes, Susan and Stephen from Tranquila, and us, got together for a road trip. We rented a car, which was delivered right to the marina, and off we went. It was a bit of a tight squeeze. Susan had to wedge herself into the way back, but it was nice to be doing something land-based for a change. We were headed to Loreto, a seaside city about 18 miles from the marina. We'd been told of a remote mission town deep in the hills called San Javier. There's a tiny little turnoff that can be hard to spot, but we were pretty sure we found it. So we turned off the main road and off we went into the peninsula interior. We are in San Javier, where the mission was founded in 1699. We drove for an hour through some really dramatic scenery to get here, and there was just nothing there. And I thought for sure we'd been sent on a snipe hunt. I didn't think there was any civilization. We are way up in the mountains. I would love to know what our elevation is. I'll have to Google and find out. But the mission is just a tiny little town, 2 restaurants, a couple little craft stores, a little market, and then this church that was built in the 1700s that hasn't changed since, and it's just an amazing little town. I'm so glad we took the side trip to get here, even though it was an hour driving, not knowing where we were going on a road that went through several washed out sections. It was a little scary, but just the dramatic scenery was worth it. San Javier is a tiny mission town with a population of about 120. Walking through the tranquil village really makes you feel that time stood still here sometime back in the late 1800s. The church dates back to 1758 and has survived the years so well that it's still in use today. We happened to be here at the same time as a group of off-roaders, but they left not too long after we arrived, and then it got even more quiet. we're about to have lunch in one of the two tiny little restaurants that they have here in San Javier. A very traditional Mexican menu, and we'll see how it turns out. Once again, having Stephen and his fluent Spanish-speaking skills with us turned out to be a huge benefit.
His great-grandmother lived to be 125 years old.
This is her.
And they've lived here, their families lived here for 300 years. Yeah, so they came with the very first Spanish con los visitas, ¿no?
Sí, ese, exactamente, ese que está en la foto allá, ese sí era indio, aquel chaparrito allá, ese donde está en la cámara.
¿Quién? ¿Esta persona?
Sí, ese, lleva un balde de agua.
Un balde de agua. She's carrying water from the spring down to her home.
Wow.
There was no like piped in water.
Look at 1975,
Yeah.
1950.
Pancho Villa. Is that, este es un general gringo?
General gringo.
¿Es Marshall?
Ese lo mató Pancho Villa.
Eso, es Marshall, ¿no?
Vendió un parque malo.
Ajá.
Todo bien, gracias.
Oh, and if you're wondering how the food was, it was amazing, especially the homemade tortillas. On our trek back down to the main road, we stopped at an overlook and captured this exquisite scenery. Loreto is a quaint seaside town that has been captivating travelers for centuries. It has a lovely malecon, and it's become a real tourism draw with adventure seekers looking to kayak, sport fish, or just relax on the beach. It has some gorgeous oceanfront hotels and a charming downtown area. It also has its own ancient mission church. I've always been a fan of anything antique, so I fell absolutely in love with the Hotel Posado de las Flores near the Mission. After a long day of driving and exploring, we were all rather stiff, so Barbara from Red Shoes arranged an impromptu yoga session on the deck of the marina.
Into your hand. Keep your standing leg strong, only lean forward enough to counterbalance your leg lifting back. Keep your hips facing forward. Exhale and release down. Now shifting onto your left leg. Take hold of the inside of your right foot with your right hand, reaching your left arm up and gently pressing your foot back against your palm. Don't worry about how high you can lift your leg. Focus more on keeping your hips square and your balance steady.
The clouds over the Sierra de la Giganta range were settling into the tufts and folds of the mountains, and as we did our stretches and poses, I couldn't help but feel that there was something truly mystical and otherworldly about doing yoga with this view to look at. The long dinghy ride back to the boat gave us another opportunity to soak up the inspiring scenery. As much as we've loved the adventure, the activities, the snorkeling, The friendships, and of course the sailing during this expedition into the Sea of Cortez, really, the best part of the whole thing has been the view. We are still chronicling our month in the Sea of Cortez, so be sure to come back next week when we leave Puerto Escondido for points north. We drop anchor in remote coves, enjoy some peaceful beachcombing, do more snorkeling, and see some of the most astonishing sunsets yet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and maybe drop us a comment and let us know what you think. And please keep coming back.